welcome to today's videos. We're going to cover the one and dones from winter 2025. These are the champions. They're only picked once, all split long across the 5 patches in the world's qualifying regions or first stand. I'm not including tier 2, tier 3, etc. There were quite a number of champions, honestly. At first, when I was filling it out, I was like, oh, well, I'll have enough space on the board. And as you can see towards the bottom, things got shrunk. Zeka Zed game that just happened a few days ago is really crunched down at the bottom. But if you watch First Stand, you know how that went anyways. Something to kind of note about this, right? So most of these games on here you see red. Red indicates, hey, this is the opponent they played and they lost, picking these champions. Only a handful actually came out victorious. And then when we look at the ones that came out victorious, I mean, HLE into TL twice. Not a big shock there, right? I mean, hell. I mean, it's a slam dunk pretty much for HLE to beat TL. So you can get frisky if you're HLE in that situation and pick a Cassidy, pick a Kale. Now, it didn't quite work as well for them when they picked Quinn, but nevertheless, another win on here was Team Secret Whales into DFM. They played Malphite and they won the Malphite into a Kesante. Hero 02. And you could argue that maybe that was a closer matchup on paper, but DFM played terrible in winter. I'm going to skip one of these for a second. Mirwin playing Vex into Ambessa in Giant X, so Lot playing in that one. And I mean, Koi, you would think are better than Giant X, so theoretically, that should be a win. Not quite a slam dunk, similar to the Team Secret Whales DFM game, in my opinion. And then Zeka picking Zed into Talia for Hanq and CFO. HLE should win that one. So the only game that actually came out with a victory in a matchup that was close was Kanavi playing Shyvana. He played Shyvana into Waze Lilia and came out victorious in a game that only had 7 kills for Top Esports in a win. Definitely something interesting to kind of think about. That's the only time that you could argue this matchup could go either way. This pick could make or break this game because, you know, it's out of the box and this is a matchup between two teams that are very similar in stature. Now, going over some of these losses, Fiora for Zeus, he played it into Ambessa when they played against Gen G. I mean, pretty solid game. You know, Fiora, split pusher, kind of does its own thing. Gets farm, takes turrets, 8.9 CS per minute at 1.5 ROI. Positive share differential, good vision, up 1,600 gold at 15 minutes. So really was ahead in the early game, but just didn't have that mid to late game impact. 2 solo kills. We saw Doran play Aurelia into HLE and lose. He was playing into Zeus's Gnar. Didn't go quite as well. He was pretty active, 88% KP. But, I mean, down 430 gold at 15 minutes. We've already just talked about Zeka playing Cassidy and dominant in that victory over TL and Victor's, APA's Victor. Cassidy was down 1,180 gold, but had 2 solo kills, and Cassidy is a ticking time bomb, right? It's not about the laning phase, except let's just get through this, right? Zeus is Cal playing in Impact's Kesante. Obviously a good game for him. He had actually double the damage versus gold he had, so that is a 2 ROI, which is very good, of course. 9.1 share differential. He was the dominant one in that game. We saw Zhao Hao play Kha'Zix into a Zyra. That was, I don't know why I put EDG in here. It's supposed to be Thunder Talk. He played it into Bechuan's Zyra in a loss. But did have a good game. 3-3 KDA. 6.6 CS per minute. Up 24 gold to 15 minutes. I mean, to keep up with a Zyra is a pretty nice feat to have. Kled being played by Showmaker in mid lane against an Ahri. That Ahri was being piloted by Zeka. So Kled lost in that one. You know, below 8 CS per minute, 1.5 ROI because of low gold. 7.2 share differential, though, so the rest of the team really didn't pack a punch. Quite like Showmaker's Kled did in that one. He was down 390 gold at 15 minutes. We saw Lissandra picked by Kadi of Vikings Esports into Aria's Ari. in a loss. So Lysandra taking an L here. Below 1 KDA, very uninvolved in the team's plays, less than 50 KP. I understand mid lane in the well, at least as far as the Vietnamese teams are concerned, is like a, I don't know, it's an enigma. But even then, Lysandra's purpose is not to not be involved. Otherwise, don't pick that champion. If it doesn't work in your region, don't pick it. Is how I see that. Negative 2.7 share differential, like not involved, so he wasn't dealing damage. Down 700 gold. We went over the Malphite game. He was down 560 gold at 15 minutes into Ray Farkey's Kesante, but he still ended up with a solo kill, so that's good for Hero 02. Zeus picked Quinn, was up 770 gold into Impact's Renekton in a loss. Did have high farm at 9.5 CS per minute. Makes sense, a Quinn top. Rengar picked by Tianchen in a loss against, what do we have here? Kanavi's Nocturne. Tianchen is a Rengar OTP, so I wouldn't be shocked if he picked it again in spring and then in summer, and nobody else touches that thing because it's not very good. He had a 0.4 KDA and below 1 ROI on an assassin, so didn't find opportunities anywhere. It was down 2,300 gold at 15 minutes. Like I said, Shyvana played into Way's Lilia. Kanavi, Shyvana played into Way's Lilia. Pretty active, high farm, 8.4 CS per minute, 86 KP. Down only 250 gold at 15 minutes. Soraka picked by Keria into Renata, and that was a delight Renata. T1 would lose that game. Keria had 100% kill participation, 2 out of 3 ROI. Down 90 gold at 15 minutes, but, it's a support. Tom Kench picked by Kellen into Duro's Rel. So, Kellen, TK, tried to make it work. Didn't work into Gen G, but that's not a big shock. Some of these games won't be a big shock. BFX into Gen G should win that. So BFX are trying to throw something at the wall and hope it, can make a difference for them and make up the team gap. It just wasn't the case. He had 90% kill participation, actually more damage than gold at support, which is nice, especially hell out of a Tom Kench. Down 740 gold at 15 minutes. A couple really bad games on here. Canyon's Trundle was played into Peanuts Wukong, and it went very poorly. In terms of, I understand a Trundle is not necessarily supposed to deal a ton of damage, but when you have like a 0.42 ROI, that's worse than, honestly, that might be the lowest ROI I've ever seen out of a non-support. And it's the lowest ROI I've seen in a long time when I even include supports. Like, it was that useless in the damage department. I understand Trundle's purpose may not be to deal damage, but you kind of just deal damage on accident. And it didn't happen. 0.5 KDA, down 11, a negative 11 share differential. Down 300 gold at 15 minutes. We have Keen's Vayne into Aatrox, and this was into Zeus's Aatrox. So the Vayne went 1-7. Very, very poor. Only a 6.9 CS per minute out of Vayne top. That just kind of goes to show you how bad that game went. Down 900 gold at 15 minutes. Vex picked by Mirwin into Lots and Bessa. Like I said, that went pretty well for them. You could argue that game probably 60-40 in favor of Koi. Not quite a toss-up, but still a Vex top is a weird one. Don't see that very often at all. Great game out of him. And then Zeka's Zed. So Zed was actually buffed on the first stand patch. And I didn't include Zed in my patch video because nobody fucking plays Zed. But Zeka played Zed. So that's something that I'll have to think about if Zed comes up in the next year and a half of buffs. If somebody's willing to play Zed, it's going to be Zeka because he's the one that already pulled it out at first stand. And yes, it was against CFO, but still. He was going down. He was on a mission with his fearless round robin play. It was 10 champions in 10 games. I can't emphasize enough how awesome that was for him to do. Like, that is truly spectacular. That's something you may never see again. And that's something to think about as well. That, like, people be like, yeah, well, Knight played all these champions at Worlds. He played 12 champions at Worlds, or this and that. It's like, yeah, but he played over 24 games. Literally, try and play a different champion for 10 games straight. That's literally what Zeka did. And he played it into Hankyu's Talia, and it went well. Up 537 gold to 15 minutes, had a solo kill. But that's an expected win for HLE, pretty much. HLE had fun during first stand, definitely screwing around. It was a Mickey Mouse tournament before the tournament, during the tournament, and afterwards. Format being terrible. But there's hindsight bias going on now from some people, and it's a shame. But either way, thought this video would be interesting, kind of look back. What champions on here that lost? Do you think, hey, this champion does have some legs here, maybe we'll see it in spring, or the champions that are like, okay, put that away and I never want to see it again. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.